Alright, howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the last 4-ish weeks worth of news regarding WARNO with some very interesting changes, updates, and stuff to look forward to. So today we're going to talk about quite a few things. Among them is a whole rework of the game's combat system, a little bit about a new city map, as well as a much requested unit feature, a new mode, and more. Now first of all, I think the biggest one to mention is a full rework of the game's combat system. I've actually been talking to the game's developers and other testers, and I have brought up some of my personal dislikes of WARNO, especially when you compare WARNO with Wargame and Division. Now it finally appears that some of these issues that I have, and some other people as well, will be addressed by this change. The devs say themselves that they don't like WARNO's combat system in its current iteration, with a very binary outcome to each engagement. Either Unit A or Unit B explodes after they trade shots. The devs are going to try and make suppression a bigger part of WARNO, which should hopefully offer more variety to that binary outcome mentioned just now. A quote here: "Routing a unit should be as much as a valid outcome as its complete destruction." End quote. The aim is to make combat more realistic, as well as make WARNO feel more authentic, but also giving players more time to recover units in combat, basically lowering the game's overall pace and making it less micro-intensive. I've always thought that the game's speed was very high, which just didn't feel right, so to hear that the devs are aiming to slow the game down, even if a little, is music to my ears. The system is still very much a work in progress, and no release dates are given. However, they've given us some details to go over here. Currently, only HE munitions will cause suppression on near misses. In a new system, AP and heat ammo types will be pulled closer to the level of suppression HE ammo causes. The intent here is to make each ammo type deal suppression, whether it's a hit or a miss. Now the bigger the caliber, the more suppression, with HE ammo still giving the most amount, at least from how I understand this text. If multiple tanks are clumped up, a near miss on one with AP will now cause suppression to many of them at once, making tank blobs a lot less strong, which I personally really like the idea of. Veterancy will also play a bigger role now in how units cope with suppression. Higher veterancy means more resistance to suppression received, as well as faster regeneration to becoming unsuppressed. Also interesting is that they are more resilient to taking local casualties. If an infantry squad loses a member or two, more veteran squads will be impacted less versus lower veteran squads losing squad members. To add to this new system, traits will also be introduced into WARNO, with a few examples here which are somewhat similar to what we currently already have in Division 2. Special Forces, or SF, which are the most experienced level of units, which will receive a bonus which is better than the elite bonus currently, if I understand it correctly, making them even more resilient against suppression, giving them faster movement speeds and higher rates of fire and more. Shock troops. These troops will be able to deal additional suppression if at close range, simulating their CQC and hand-to-hand combat training, mostly applicable to, say, paratrooper squads or engineer teams. IFV infantry are units that go into battle in an IFV, such as a BMP or a Bradley, and they will receive a suppression resilience bonus, making them less susceptible to it as long as they're near an IFV when dismounted. Now hopefully this is something that can be visually shown so you know when your troops have the bonus or not. Keep in mind this doesn't have to be their own IFV as long as they are near a friendly IFV. More traits to be expected are leader, military police, indoctrinated stats, etc. If Division 2 is anything to go off, the military police units, for example, units in their area will receive less suppression or just won't rout as easily from the battlefield. To better understand how the new suppression system works, units will now come with a colored gauge in battle, letting you quickly see if they are good, somewhat okay, or in desperate need of some quick R&R away from the direct battlefield. A massive change regarding command units, one that I am very intrigued by, is this. After capturing a zone with a CV unit, You no longer have to keep that unit inside the zone to keep it captured. This will not only counter CV sniping, it'll also allow these command units to be used for more than just capturing and holding an area, but actually being used as leader units, giving friendly units around them a boost. Lastly, and this is very interesting, it makes command helicopters a lot better. They don't have to land and stay in a zone, which actually makes them very weak considering they can't hide in forests like infantry or vehicle commands can. Now they can land, capture, and leave, allowing for some quick capture and run strategies. So a much requested unit feature from the very beginning has been the ability to traverse waterways using amphibious vehicles, and it seems that they are still working on perfecting it, but at least it's still confirmed to be coming at some point in the future. Also, something we saw in Wargame, FOBs, or forward operating bases, are maybe going to make a return here in WARNO, allowing players to have a set amount of supplies somewhere on the back of the battlefield to replenish empty supply vehicles. So WARNO originally only launched with the Conquest mode, where you win if you have more than half of the total points on the map under your control for X amount of time. Now with Destruction, we have a fan-favorite game mode back, which is a little bit more focused on pure combat versus just capturing specific zones on the map. Funnily enough, they first introduced Destruction way back in Ruse, a much beloved older RTS, and I'm actually going to be going back to here in the near future for a future video. However, in the Destruction mode, you win by destroying a set amount of points worth of enemy equipment, though it still means that capturing zones is important, because the more zones you have, the more points your team gets to buy new units with. Personally, I've always liked Conquest better, but I'll definitely have to give WARNO's Destruction mode a shot very soon. A huge bit of news is the showcase of their upcoming Twin Cities map, which will finally feature some high-rise housing and buildings, as well as a major highway crossing the map, perfect for the fast movement of units, as well as ambushing enemy columns. And seeing these bigger cities is something I've wanted to see in Wargame, wanted to see in Steel Division, and now finally we have it coming to WARNO soon. So with this quick look at about a month's worth of WARNO news, this video comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed this quick look at what's to come, and I look forward to seeing what you think about this new combat system and all the other things that I talked about in this video down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Максимальную скорость.